Hello, people. I am doing this video due to a response I had about a week ago from someone I'm not sure is Jewish or not. Kind of, I don't think it's an issue. He wanted to know, well, it just made me come to think why I believe as a Jew in Jesus as the Messiah, or Yeshua, which is what his name should be. That is what his name was. It was Joshua. It was Yeshua. It wasn't Jesus, because Jesus is a name that is a. By the way, this is a very good book, by the way. I'm just so reflection out of it. Keep sucking. Anyway, excellent book, excellent writer, Zola Levitt. Read his books. Why? Why would a Jew, after the last 2,000 years of church history, want to believe that Jesus was the Messiah? Why would you want to believe that this Gentilized Son of God, Son of Man, Jewish carpenter in the first place? Well, first of all, I was not raised in a Jewish household. My dad did not want to be raised. He did not like being Jewish. My dad did not like being Jewish. My mother doesn't mind, but he did not want to be Jewish. It drove him nuts. Once I found out I was Jewish, once I found out that there was Jewish blood coursing through these veins, I embraced it. I mean, I went out of my way to embrace it. I bought I have menorahs. I have all kinds of stuff in here that's Jewish. I like being Jewish. I like talking about it. I like being one. I like expressing. What does it mean to be a Jewish Christian? What does that mean when a Jew says, "I believe in Jesus" or Yeshua? What's his name? Why? I mean, I don't think people understand why Jews have a hard time accepting Christ Jesus as the Messiah. For one reason, Christian history. I'm sorry, the Gentile church, the Gentile portion of the church, by the second century, spent a great deal of its time in the last 2,000 years getting rid of as much Jewishness as they possibly can. That was part of the problem. Once they started doing that, the Jews didn't have a chance. I'm getting ahead of myself. I believe in it because I've studied it. I didn't become a believer in Christ, in Yeshua. Too many J's in the sentence. Yeshua. Overnight. I didn't. It took a long time. It took a lot of reading. It took a lot of introspection. It took a lot of overthinking. It took a lot of ways to get to this point. I mean, a Jew does not become a Christian overnight. Because one, the church has made it as if somehow when you become a Christian, you're instantly no longer Jewish. Well, that's bullshit. I'm sorry. I know you don't like the word, but it's BS. And you're still a Jew. I'm still a Jew. I like being a Jew. I like being a Jew who believes in the Messiah. I read the scriptures. I read the prophecies. I've done my studying. It took 40 years. I know that sounds weird, but and I should say 40. What it is it took me 20 years to really fully understand it, and a lot of it came from reading his books. What a Jew is first. I spent a lot of time just figuring out what that meant. What does it mean to be part of that history? What does it mean to be part of the Jewish history of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and all the patriarchs, and Moses and Joshua and the scriptures and the prophets and King David and all that wonderful stuff? I like history, which is why I came to that understanding. I spent years, and I only use one Bible, and that's the KJV. And I know that irritates people because, oh no, KJV. I would love to know why people are so terrified of the KJV, King James, but I already know why. At least I suspect I know why. But I've studied. I didn't come to this understanding overnight. I first had to figure out what it was to be Jewish. Yeah, remember, I didn't grow up in a Jewish home. My dad did not want to be Jewish. He could not stand it. It bothered him to no end. And along comes his son who discovers, oh, well, I'm Jewish. Cool. and he hated that. He did not want. And then I started reading everything of Jewish history. I started reading books and biographies and history and fiction and all sorts of cool stuff. I like being Jewish. My father does not. So I don't think he might now, but I don't think he does. I'm thinking about making this a more than one video of doing this because I'm trying to make this clear, and I'm probably not doing a very good job. But I believe Yeshua, Jesus, is the Messiah, because there's no reason why the first century apostles would have made up somebody like that and didn't risk dying for it. Why? What purpose? They weren't making any money off it. All they were going to do is get the Romans mad at them and the Jewish Sanhedrin mad at them. What's the point? What's the purpose? I mean, if you read the Gospels, I have, and if you read all this nonsense, and this is nonsense, by the way, because that person spent an entire book trying to convince me that Jesus one day woke up and decided he was the Messiah, and then had to figure out how to make all those prophecies fall into place. Yeah, good luck with that. I've done my reading, people. I've done my studying. I've done my reading. I've done a lot of questions and answering. I'm constantly questioning myself. Why do I believe what I believe? What proof do I have that the prophet Isaiah actually was talking about a person in Isaiah 53? I always get that number wrong. Why? Because I know what modern Jews are being taught that that's not a person they're describing. It's the state of Israel. It doesn't sound like the state of Israel to me. It sounds like a person suffering. I mean, for a Jew to become a Christian isn't to cease to be a Jew, and it's part of the problem. That's why most Jews they recoil at the idea. I get it. I understand why. They like being Jews. Being Jewish is fun. Being Jewish also is tragic. Look at our history. But the church in the beginning of the 2nd century, once the Apostle John died, the last of the original 12, the 2nd century, the church spent a lot of time and a lot of effort trying to get rid of as much Jewishness and as fast as possible until they have the mess they have. Yes, Jesus was a Jew, but he wasn't that kind of Jew. The church really stabbed itself in the back. I'm a historian, I know these things. I was asked, I think it was a week ago, a question. What am I going to figure out that I was lying to? Well, I wasn't born in a Jewish home. I was sent to a church. Actually, it was Okinawa, Japan. It was a missionary school. I didn't ask to go there. I didn't want to go there. I remember my very first comment when I saw where I was going. Oh no, not another religious school. I didn't want to go there. I already had enough experience with church schools, and they weren't good. I mean, I did not set out to become one. In fact, but the problem is, I liked it. I like to explore things. I like to think. I like to examine things. I like to be given information and study it. Search the scriptures. Even the Bible says that. Look, study, read. Jews are good for one thing. We do love to study things. We do love to read. We love to study. We love to look into things. We like to have 3 opinions about one thing. You know the old joke: 2 Jews, 3 opinions. It's kind of how we are. And that started this interest in, okay, if I'm going to become a Christian, do I lose any of my Jewishness? Well, I don't. So once that became clear to me, okay, I'm still going to remain a Jew. Yay! I'm not going to lose that. In fact, that's very important. That's something to be, rather be happy about. Cool. Because nowhere in the Bible does it say, well, once you become a believer in Jesus, you no longer are that culture. Nonsense. That's partly why most Jews don't want to become Christians, because too many Christians are telling them, well, you're not Jews anymore. Yeah, you're not going to convert many Jews to that. We like excuse me, we like being Jewish. We like Passover. We like Hanukkah, which is 20 or on the 25th this month. We like our history. We like our culture. We like being Jewish. Jesus was a Jew. Once the church started basically rewriting that little detail, most Jews are not going to listen. We don't want to hear it. Jesus was either a Jewish Messiah or he was your Messiah. He can't be both. You can't turn Jesus into something he wasn't. I know. I would rather use the word Yeshua, but other people like Joshua or Jesus, which was a mistake anyway. Which is why I like the movie Risen, because they use his actual name. I did a movie review a few days ago on that yesterday. Anyway, you want to convert Jews? Stop telling them they're no longer Jews. We like it. In fact, the Bible basically says that Jews have a destiny and the church has a destiny. And eventually, it becomes the same destiny. But at the moment, they're two different futures. I mean, but as I said, the more and more I read the Bible, the more and more I wanted to study Jewish history, though. That's the thing. It compelled me to say, okay, if I'm going to believe this over here with these Gentile Christians, you know what I mean? I want to find out, what does that mean as a Jewish person? What does that mean? Does that mean I become something else? Or does that mean, because being a Christian doesn't change who you are ethnically. And I think a lot of Christians get into this idea of Gentile Christians, I should say. And no offense to my Gentile brothers. I get it. You were taught badly. It's okay. I'm here to help you. No, I'm here to help you. I'm really help. Anyway, but I did. I wanted to learn more. I wanted to understand. I wanted to understand what it meant. Was becoming part of the church, rejecting something, which was becoming important to me. I was discovering my Jewishness and discovering this other faith over here. And I had to figure out a way to reconcile the two. I had to figure out how to put them together. And do they belong together? Because if you listen to the church sometimes, particularly replacement theology, they're two different things. And the Jews are no longer important. Replacement theology has been around for almost 2,000 years. That's what the second century was trying to do. They were trying to replace Israel, the Jews, with the church. And you can't do that because that's not what the Bible says. I've read enough about replacement theology. I know it when I smell it. This chair is going to drive me crazy. I need a new chair. I embraced it. I wish my dad did. I know nothing about my family history. I should say nothing. I know very, 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 very little. Because unfortunately, most of my family wanted to deny what they were and wanted nothing to do with remembering the past. I wanted to know the past. It would have been nice to know my family history more than I actually know. I know that I'm of the tribe of Levi, because my grandmother was Ruth Levi. That makes me of the tribe of Levi. I am, and I can't walk into the Holy of Holies if I were the high priest. Yes, I can walk into the Holy of Holies. You can't. I don't think I'd want to walk into the Holy of Holies. I think it would bother me. Who knows? But yeah, I all this was in the beginning of my early going back and forth Jewish Christian life. It's difficult to explain because in a lot of ways I spent a long time struggling between the two different ideas. Reconciling the old covenant and the new covenant is a struggle sometimes. And a lot of the reasons why Jews have a hard time seeing Jesus as who he was is they're not taught that there was going to be a new covenant. That's part of the problem. Part of the problem, which is why they have a very hard time seeing Jesus, Yeshua, Joshua in the Bible, in the scriptures, even in the New Testament. If they're honest with themselves and they read it in the scriptures honestly and want to actually seek it, they will see it. The rabbis were telling them, no, 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 no. You don't need to read that stuff. We'll tell you what it says. Because they don't want, because they know full well what Isaiah is saying and they don't like it. That's why they changed it from being a person being crucified to being a symbolic image of Israel itself. I mean, the church doesn't help with replacement theology. Replacement theology is replacing Christianity. It's replacing the New Covenant and what the New Covenant means. I mean, see if I can find this quickly. If I can find it quickly, you think I would have this memorized by now. I don't. Oh, where are you? It's really kind of crazy. I didn't prepare this. I should have been well prepared. I mean, it does talk about a new covenant between Israel and Judah. And I will make a new covenant between them. I will replace the old covenant with this new one. I will forgive their sins and remember them no more. I mean, part of the problem, I'm probably going to review this. I'm probably going to do another one of these. Whoever that person is still on there, I appreciate it. But part of my problem is I've gone through a lot in 40 years. I've gone up and down in a lot of ways. I'm kind of going back to what I used to believe in. It's complicated. It's called life. I walked away from the church for a reason, and I'm slowly trying to get back to what I heard. I liked the person I was when I was so invested in Jewishness and Christianity. I was so invested in the Jewishness of Joshua, of Yeshua. I was so much more invested in so much of these things when I was studying these things with a Jewish mindset. That's difficult to explain what it is. Jews like to study. We like to study. We like to debate. We like to argue. We like to eat. But, it's I am going to have to do several videos of this because I don't want to bore too many people. But I didn't believe in Yeshua as the Messiah overnight. This is not something that someone told me or handed me a tract and I instantly believed it. I didn't. It took a while. It took a while also because, well, I don't want to lose this Jewish identity. I don't want to lose this part of myself I like this person. I like this Jewish person that I am. This Jewish heritage that I have. My family doesn't want to talk about any of it, but I'm sorry, I do. I'm not sure it bugged them. It bugged my dad. That's his problem. He's the one missing out on things. I feel like in a lot of ways I missed out on a lot of things. I've never got to celebrate a real Passover. I've tried to teach Passover. That went relatively okay. A family wanted me to do a Passover, a meal celebration, and I tried the different aspects of it. It was fun. I should have been better prepared, but it was fun. I mean, I have never had a Passover. I've never done. I have two menorahs. I try to do that every once in a while. On Passover, I try to have lamb because that's what we're supposed to have. I wish I had grown up in Jerusalem. I miss that. I miss that because there's a lot of richness in that. There's a lot of worth getting to know in that. It's a shame the church literally just doesn't see it. It's a shame. But, when I'm at church, I make it very, very abundantly clear you're talking to a Jew, and I'm going to sound like one, and I'm going to talk like one, and they actually like it. They like how I talk. I think they like the Jewish perspective that I give. It's a small one, small Baptist church. They like me. My up and down spiritual journey has been just that, up and down. Partly why it's difficult to explain it, because I'd have to explain 40 years. And I don't think I'm going to be able to explain 40 years in 29 minutes. I just think it happened. I'm going to do another video of this and keep trying to explain it, trying to talk about it. But I did not become a believer in Yeshua, Joshua the Messiah, overnight. it wasn't because of anybody else other than what I read and thought. I overthink everything. Everything. My next video, I'm going to find that first because it's going to drive me crazy. I should know this by heart. I really should. A Jew who doesn't know his own Bible by heart does not deserve to call himself Jewish. Yeah. Even come on, here. Not that hard to find. Really not. It's right there. Oh, I know it's right here. Oh, that means I went too far. That's why. Ah, I knew I'd remember if I delayed it long enough. That's fine. I was schmuck. But anyway, I'm a happy schmuck, relatively speaking. I mean, I like being a Jew. I know in this day and age, that's a dangerous proposition. Well, it was prophetic. That's going to happen. Jews are never very well liked. Now, how do I put this? I think the church really, really needs to go back to Passover. Goes back to service. Going back to actually observing Passover. I know it's called the Lord's Supper. I don't call it that. I'm sorry, it's Passover. That was not a different supper. That was Passover. We need to go back to doing that. They need to go because it would reconnect the church to what it literally threw out or tried and began to throw out in the 2nd century. Replacement theology has done more damage to the church than anything else next to progressive Christians. Don't get me started on that one. But, I'm determined to find out. Really? There's a stop in there. I'm going to close with this once I find it. I don't know if I find it. I'm having a hard time finding this one. Look, I know I'm 61 years old, but I'm not that old. I haven't not that bad a memory. Apparently I do, people. Apparently I do. This is fine. I mean, to be Jewish is to enjoy Passover. The church needs to go back to doing Passover. It needs to go back to understanding Hanukkah. Jesus celebrated Hanukkah. It's mentioned in the New Testament. Jesus celebrated Hanukkah. That's all the feasts are mentioned almost in the Gospels or in the letters. Jesus was the Passover lamb. It matters. But there were 3 people watching. Hello. I appreciate it. We have that one person. I am going to do another video on this. I'm pretty sure. I haven't even started yet. But anyway. It took a while. It took a lot of thinking. It took a lot of this, that, and the other to get this. I did not become one overnight. And to become a Christian, a follower of Jesus, or Yeshua, or Joshua, is not to reject Judaism. This is another problem. Once you start telling Jews that the Old Testament no longer matters, you've lost them. That's partly also what started happening in the 2nd century. Is people, Gentiles, I'm sorry, but that's who was in control for the most part, started telling Jews you don't need the Old Testament anymore. The Old Testament, without the Old Testament, there is no new. What do you think? Where do you think Jesus preached from? Where do you think the Apostle Paul preached from? The Apostle Peter preached from? Without the Old Testament, there is no New Testament. It's that simple. Now, I don't want to go too long because I don't want to make these very long. Almost at 25 minutes. I'm going to try to, I'm probably do another video today, maybe on a different subject, but I will come back to this one because I still want to get back to my Acts Bible study. And I still want to do my little mini commentaries on certain things. I mean, I may do that. Maybe that's what I'll do when I find the verse I'm trying to find. I may get to one of my smaller little commentary things, 10-minute commentary. Anyway, Thanks for watching. I know you are, because I've seen at least 3 of you on there. Thank you. Share, comment, subscribe, like. You can't ask me questions. It's okay. I will answer them. I'm pretty easy to talk to. Ask the voices in my head. They say I'm very easy to talk to. Anyway, okay. Behave yourselves, people, because you know I'm not going to.